And we're live. I think we're actually live. Sorry about being late. Uh, it's uh,
It's the fourth Sunday.
it's the fourth Sunday of
Yeah.
every month. I do that guitar workshop on Patreon for my guitar channel, and it's at 8 p.m. And you just get to talking about guitar stuff, and that hour and a half goes away super super fast. And
They're turning it into a part two even, I
yeah,
heard.
it's ended up being a part 2 next week, and it was really really fun. If you follow my guitar channel and you haven't done that thing yet, it's super fun. Anyway, sorry for being a couple minutes late. I'm really excited for a couple of reasons. First of all, my name is Dylan.
My name's Leslie.
Music and Mascara. Obviously, this is our live thing that we do every Sunday night at 9:30-ish Eastern. We've had a bunch of problems with internet stuff over the last couple of weeks, and I think we figured it out. Video upcoming. So this is our first big live stream after we fixed it, we think. And so I'm very excited that even right now, we have not had any problems. So yeah, super cool. The latency is there's a little delay, probably a minute or something, but
Yeah.
you know,
But they're not going to see that. Okay, we're good.
yeah, it's awesome. So I hope everybody. So we might be lagging a little bit behind the comments, but we'll do our best. So super cool, very cool. No little yellow
Yeah.
thing.
So
no
we are
problems.
live. If you have any
Yes.
questions, this is your opportunity. So feel free to interact, post your comments. We have a topic we want to talk about tonight, and then we have some Q&A from some previous videos that we'll cover.
Are we going to do our Q&A first?
We can do Q&A first.
Yeah. So first of all, let's tell them what the topic is. Obviously, you saw the thumbnail already. And this was more your idea, so you're going to pretty much lead this when we get going. But
Okay.
Downsizing. It's a project.
Yeah. And
Mentally and physically.
Exactly. So it's a mindset, and it is something that we get asked about the most. It comes up the most. We still deal with the most because once you're in that mindset, it's a constant thought. It shapes how you store things. It shapes what you do or do not buy. It shapes future buying decisions. Like, what are you getting rid of to get X? Like, that is, and even when we grocery shop, I thought about it today. Like, we like to shop at Costco, which is some bigger items, can be a little difficult, but maybe you don't even know I do this. I mentally, no, I can put this in this cabinet and I have room to get this, because it is a decision and everything needs to have a place. Even though we're not moving right now, it doesn't matter. I want everything to have a place. We don't want to get sloppy with this.
Yep. So we'll talk about that here
Yeah.
in just a few minutes.
But that's why I wanted it to be the topic, because it's big and it's every day in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we want to cover some of the previous questions first.
Yes.
So let's see, comment is on the last week's video about mistakes that we made. But I feel like the comment is actually directed towards our Safety Plus video, maybe.
Okay.
So First Last is talking about kingpins and ball joints. That he missed the lab. Sorry, no big deal. They enjoy using a pressure cooker and a coffee maker. Also, he said his problem is the 6K pounds of tools. And then he's talking about your steering box. The Pitman arm connects the tie rods to wheels. It has teeth. You need 2 people to check it. So I just feel like people are steady giving us some tips on other things that may be the culprit of what we are not saying is a bad driving experience anymore.
Yeah, so I think there was a few people, and I do appreciate your comments very much, because I have not owned this type of chassis. I've owned 50-something vehicles, but I've never owned this heavy of a chassis before, so I appreciate your input on it. and we have been kind of going through some of those things. The thing only had 6,500 miles on it when I got it, so wear is not really a problem. However, adjustment and making sure that everything is tight is, because everything shakes. You know, this thing's an earthquake every time it goes down the road. So keeping up on that stuff is really important. I should also mention, while she is getting the next thing ready, we are drinking, what is this? Avion Reposado tequila tonight.
It's delicious.
She's like, I'm cold. And I'm like, I need a drink so that my voice will keep going, since I was talking for an hour and a half before. Now come hang out with you. I was like, I need something on my throat. So
It's so good. It's my favorite tequila
out of my
ever.
new Masters golf tournament glass from the Augusta National.
Yeah.
Just got that this week.
So the second part that he mentioned was also, and I just want you to touch on this, anti-sway for your towing rig. And he's talking about pulling can affect, of course. And he said you could check to see if, without the Jeep, to see if that's affecting it. So we have driven the motorhome quite a few miles without the Jeep attached, but you actually prefer to have the Jeep attached.
I do. Yeah, so one of the things with running a 38-foot chassis is, especially with no rear tag axle or tandem axle, is we have 14 feet of rear overhang. So you can get some chassis sway from just wind and stuff. When you have the Jeep back there, that's 4,600 pounds that's planting it to the ground. And I love that. I love towing the Jeep because it just settles everything down. The Jeep is tight. I make sure that the suspension and stuff on the Jeep is tight too. And I check tire pressure on the Jeep every time we tow it too, because of those things. Because you are adding weight and you are adding more forces that are doing different stuff. And so I like to try to keep up on that as well. We don't need to have like anti-sway stuff or anything, because it just doesn't weigh that much. But yeah. Yeah. Somebody asked what brand of tequila, but I think we already answered that. It's Avion Reposado is what it is. It's my favorite sipping tequila that we have ever bought. So good.
And we've bought a lot.
We've tried a lot of different kind of tequilas, and this is probably one of my favorites. Yep. What else we got?
Dennis commented on the video about 5 things to see around Colorado Springs. Said, great scenery plus a Dr. Delight soundtrack.
Yeah.
By the way, the cool drone shot at the beginning got me thinking there's always a train. There is always a train.
You know what's really funny? That wasn't a drone shot. That was, we were literally 1,000 feet off the base of that canyon.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, that was not a drone shot. We were on that bridge looking down into the canyon.
And so it was really neat so we had seen, what you couldn't see from that video is when we crossed the bridge the first time, we were kind of to one side. It was very big, and we were kind of to the right side, just naturally, I guess you go walk to the right. And there was some rafter, like we could see some people doing some rapid water rafting.
Whitewater rafting.
Thank you.
That's what it's called. She's not into it.
Totally not. I mean, I liked watching them. What caught my attention actually is because the way that was shaped, like you could hear these random people screaming, and I'm like, where are these screams coming from? Like, what are we missing?
Way down
and they were
there.
way down there. But when we were coming back, so we already knew how far down it was and everything. When we were coming back, you just happened to see, like, wait, is that a train track? And then, like, wait, that's a train. Which was cool enough, but then you realize it's like they had open car. It was a passenger train. So they were literally like on a tour at the bottom of this gorge. And I was like, that is really cool.
Dennis, this is not a change of pace from whiskey. This is, I'm out of it. I need another bottle. I actually have, I have a little bit of Jefferson's Ocean left, and I have a little bit of, what's the really expensive stuff?
Blanton's.
I have a bottle of Blanton's, but I have a friend who I've not seen in like 6 months, and I told him, and I actually have a bottle of Henry McKenna that I bought for him in Kentucky, and I told him that I wanted him to try this stuff, so I'm trying to like not drink the rest of that until he comes over. But because of COVID and stuff, we've not really had any visitors, and so I'm technically not out of whiskey or bourbon, but I'm trying not to drink it. So I need another bottle to replace it, really, is the real...
So I think Charles and Dennis are here, and they both commented on that Colorado video, which was the different paste video for us, right?
Yes.
So what did you think about that? I would love to hear
Excuse me.
some, I know you said it was beautiful footage, but that's obviously a tad out of the wheelhouse of our norm. But we wanted... It's a nice creative way to share some footage that we might not get to use otherwise.
So, yeah. So the theory behind that was I shoot video every day. I shot video today. I will shoot video tomorrow. We shoot so much video that y'all never see. Because I don't know if I'm going to use it. But we're there and it's beautiful, so I'm going to shoot it. I can't not record this, but I don't know if it's actually ever going to go into a video or not, or you're ever going to, if it's ever going to see the light of day, or if it's just going to sit on a hard drive. So the idea is, I think we're going to try to go through all of our footage and put it into, that one was a little long. I might actually bite-size piece them down to 4 or 5 minutes. If we were in Rocky Mountain National Park, some of them are just going to be drives. Literally, the camera's on top of the Jeep, and you're just driving through Rocky Mountain National Park, and there's mountains everywhere. With some music, no words, you just get to experience it the best. We get to share being there with you the best we can. That's kind of the idea. I didn't want to get super vloggy and really complicated with it, because it's the place. That's what's most important. And so we're going to try to do that with a bunch of our old footage. And moving forward, I'm going to try to shoot more with that in mind, so that we can give you higher quality, I don't know, virtual experiences of a place maybe you've never been, or maybe you want to go and try, That's kind of the idea. That's kind of what I'm hoping. So, we'll see what happens. They said they loved it.
Good. Okay. Another comment, and I just want to touch on this a little bit. So this is on a video about, it was years ago, Instant Pot versus Crock Pot. So you don't know this, but this is one of our top videos on the channel.
Ever.
It was the silliest, most least prepared, we just wanted to do this because it was almost we've made videos in the past that were almost answering your questions. You're like, why do we have to have this new device? We have a crock pot. What do we need this for? And it was let's make a video, because we were in a different business model then, and trying to teach people how to share those things and put content out. So the comment is, I wish this video compared the slow cook feature of the Instant Pot to slow cooking in the crock pot. Right now it's about pressure cooking versus slow cooking. That's as different as barbecuing versus bacon. They are two different ways of cooking. And I get that, and I appreciate the feedback. That is from Rubik's Cube. But that is not what the video is about. The video is literally about people use a crock pot for convenience cooking and hands off. And Instant Pot is next level hands off cooking.
Awesome.
When you forget to thaw your roast out or whatever that is, or you have a bag of dried beans and want to make chili. To do that in an hour, versus 24 hours of prep time, that's remarkable. And even then, that's what that video is about. That is why I wanted an Instant Pot. So I get that it's not like a direct compare, but for the convenience hands off is why we made that video.
Yeah, and the other thing too is
And
I
it's
think
from October 2017.
a lot of our videos that we make are how we personally use stuff.
Yes.
And I'm also
It
seeing,
even says why use an Instant Pot instead of a slow cooker.
I also feel like some of our videos, and you're probably going to see this more too, as we do kind of how-to stuff. Well, it kind of happens on my other channel too. There's millions of ways to do everything, but you're going to see kind of how we do it. And a lot of times our use case is kind of unique and not like everybody else's, which is kind of fun. That's why you watch different YouTube channels and why you that happens all the time on my guitar channel. I feel a certain way about something and I don't care about doing it the other way. And it's not because it's right or wrong. It's just I don't do it like that, But having a unique approach to stuff is kind of fun. So anyway, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I love that. Dennis says he's having Instant Pot chili tonight.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
We just did that last week, actually. We had Instant Pot chili.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Awesome.
So last comment, not really a question. So on your video, why I switched from a MacBook Pro to a Microsoft Surface. That seems to be a pretty good video too.
That one's doing well, yeah.
You sold me on my next computer going Surface. I currently have a Dell 2-in-1 and have always liked Surface, but they're just out of our budget for students right now. But in a couple years, Black Friday might get me sold. That's cool.
I love this
Ryan.
thing.
Thanks, Ryan.
I love this thing. I really do. I was cursing Apple products again this week.
I love mine. I just got a new phone.
I know, and I want the new phone too.
Huge one.
You got the huge
I can't
phone.
figure out. I need to grow my hand. We were out. Was it yesterday? We were out yesterday. Gary saw some of this footage. I think Gary's watching right now. But I was trying to take some of those pictures you saw at the canal head gates. And he was like, well, how was it? And I was like, well, I was holding the drone case and one camera in this hand. So I only had one hand to take pictures. I didn't have a pocket. So I couldn't even put my phone anywhere. But then I'm trying to use my phone to take pictures. And I don't want to sit this stuff down because we're just surrounded by dirt and people. And so I'm like one hand in, and it's too big to like reach your thumb anywhere. And I'm like trying to like focus it. I think I did pretty good for one handed.
Oh yeah, it's doing good.
Anyway, just for some
You'll
humor
see
there.
some more of those pictures probably on Instagram and stuff pretty soon. So that's all the questions from.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna refresh this page right now and make sure. Yep, I'm good to go.
Awesome. Well. Let's talk about downsizing.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, since I don't know what she's going to talk about, I'll just handle the background of it.
Yeah, start from your image that you felt led to.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start there.
So you saw the thumbnail. We built that house in 2000. We got married in 2013, and in the fall of in the January of 2013, in the fall of 2013, we built that house that you see in the thumbnail. Was like, I don't know, 1,580 square feet or something. Just the two of us. We did have room for the kids, and they had their bedrooms and stuff when they came and stayed with us. 2-car garage, big yard, and extra office, the whole thing, like a whole house. There was a whole house. Extra dining room. We didn't have a formal dining room, but we had a dining room plus the kitchen plus, it was a whole house. It's crazy. In 6.5, 7 years, when we got married, we basically had nothing. We had like a 1-bedroom apartment with nothing in it. We filled that thing up. The attic was full in the garage. The garage was full from wall to wall of work stuff, of shop stuff, of life. When we finally had a garage sale, we realized we had 2 complete kitchens worth of appliances, plates, forks, glasses, everything. We had a walk-in closet. We had an 8 by 9 foot walk-in closet. I had 16 feet of clothing rod full of t-shirts and clothes, and I used to wear all those funny t-shirts and stuff. I had probably 100 t-shirts. We had so much stuff. It is amazing. We had 2 brand new trucks. Of course, you have all the lawn equipment. You have all the everything. Just everything. Just tons of stuff. Bicycles. Ridiculous. And we decided that we needed to simplify and pare down and fit in something that's 38 feet long.
We didn't know it would be 38 feet long.
We
We thought it would be like 32, 34. And we didn't know what that meant. But yes, it is a strange realization when you have so much stuff and you don't know why you have so much stuff. And then it kept happening. So even when we were getting rid of stuff, and we've talked about this in various videos, but not just as a concentrated topic. And it is the biggest asked question in the groups I'm in. When everybody gets a chance to hear that this is what we do, they're just like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. I couldn't live without XYZ. And I get it. It is a process. The part of the process he didn't tell you there was we talked on and off about this for probably a good 5 years.
At least.
Because we love to travel. And we've been traveling since we've been together. And we love that piece. And being able to take, our business used to be a lot more physical work and partnering with more people. That kind of fell off, and now it's kind of coming back, which is great. Hopefully COVID gets over soon so that we can do more of that collaboration.
The collaboration's different now, though.
It is different.
To be, ship me a bunch of stuff, I'll ship you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Here's, parts and manufacturing and all that kind of stuff.
And we were going to trade shows and we were doing all the big things.
And now the collaborations are digital. Now the collaborations are, content related, and so we are. We're collaborating with people, and it's growing, but it's not a physical product. It's not a physical thing that takes up half my garage.
And my point was just that we were traveling a lot and wanted to travel more because we were traveling just for work, and then you're not enjoying anything when you're doing that traveling a lot of times because you're just get to a destination, do a thing, and then bus back home because you have this home you have to be responsible for.
Just to give you an idea, 2020 is the first year that we have put less than 30,000 miles on a vehicle. We've actually only put 14,000 miles on the Jeep, which is average for most people. For the last 8 years, we've been putting anywhere between 30 and 45,000 miles a year on vehicles.
And flying.
Yeah,
so that wasn't just, those were the literal trips, and we still had some flights we were taking. So this is huge, like different scale of travel for us now. But anyway, having a love to travel. So then you realize you have all that stuff. And part of the story you missed, I think Dennis just touched on it too. Like when we were starting to get rid of stuff, like you realize you can outfit somebody's whole house and still function. Like, what is that about? Why do you have triplicate of things that you never use all at the same time?
Yep.
So anyway, on the reverse of that, I'm actually participating in a live cooking class tomorrow, and I'm more nervous about that because I'm like, I have basic kitchen things. Like, I hope I don't need a bunch of things to do this class, but we're going to figure it out.
It's the mental part of it. It's an interesting thing. Like we always used to. Well, everybody does this. Well, not now, I guess, because of COVID as much. But you know, you've had those nights where you're like, I don't know, let's go to Target and walk around. And the problem is that, or you'll be grocery shopping or whatever, and you'll see the micro USB cables. I always use micro USB cables. Micro USB cables or iPhone cables or whatever. Buy that, and you're like, I think I need one of those. Actually, I need one of those for this spot in this room so I can plug my phone in when I'm in there doing whatever, right? Whatever. You think you need something. I need an extra this or that. I'm in the hardware store, and you know what? I think I'm doing this project right now, but while I'm here, I'm going to grab X, Y, or Z. And you do it. And then you get home and you don't realize, until years later when you're having a garage sale to get rid of everything to move into a motorhome, that you literally have like 75 micro USB cables, and you have more batteries than you really thought you had, and you have duplicates of tools, like of every tool you've ever bought except for 10 millimeter wrenches. Not enough of those, but every tool you've ever bought, adapters. You know, of course, I'm in music, so there's this RCA to 3.5 millimeter splitter. I've got 5 of those. I've got however many. But whatever you're into or whatever you have around the house, you usually have 4 or 5 of them, because you've spent all those years planning for stuff. This is the mental part. Mm-hmm. Planning for stuff that may never happen. We get in a tendency of saying, oh, I think I might need this. And then we buy it, and then we fill up our house with stuff. You know, and that's not even including just because you're into like antique stuff and you want to go antiquing on Saturday. Like, that's a whole nother thing. I'm just talking about normal life accidentally filling your house up with duplicates of everything.
Yeah.
It completely happens. And
yeah, you see that when you're trying to downsize and you're like, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Why did I buy this?
So there's this mental change that takes place once you have all your crap in the middle of the garage floor, and you're like, I cannot believe I have this stuff.
And the crazy thing is, I think a lot of people think, as we share our story, as they hear what we're doing, they look, so this is a whole nother topic we won't get into, but everybody projects their emotions onto other people. So they're like, oh, I could not do that. So that, like, I can't believe you're doing that is really what they're saying, because they could never do that. Oops, sorry about the mic. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because we're doing it doesn't mean we think it makes sense for everybody or that it's recommended. Like, I definitely think we're talking a lot about mindset and making these decisions, and it is a huge decision. We get that. Again, it took us 5 years to do that. We talked about it. We shopped. We would come home and talk ourselves out of it. We'd go the complete opposite direction, and we literally were about to sign and build a new house. Bigger than what we had, more land, more responsibility, more money. And then we were like, well, it just didn't feel right is really what that was. That's probably a whole nother topic too. But, and we didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And then we found ourselves shopping again. Like, and then you've heard how we shopped for motorhomes, and it just kind of happened. This is not what we were looking for. But choosing to let go of things is a mental state. It is also, you have to be, we were also at a different point in life, he mentioned, and that's all we're going to do is mention it. He mentioned we started from nothing because we'd already been through something to where you realize stuff doesn't matter. And it didn't. And yeah, we quickly accumulated and filled up a house because you do all these things and you think that's what you're supposed to do. This is the American life, and we have this brick home and we fill it up with furniture, and it's a house and it's a home. And then we realized, I don't know that either one of us really care about this. I don't want to do yard work. I don't want to take care of this house. I want to travel. So it's more about finding your priorities. Like, what do you really want to do? How do you want to live? And we decided stuff wasn't important. Let's be more flexible. Let's travel more. Let's get our business more simple and digital so that we can fight with the internet all the time. And I would say create more freedom. This has been a weird year, and I think we've just kind of buckled down because you can't really do a whole lot, which is probably good to start out.
I still feel freer though.
Do you? I feel way less stressed, like in a almost self-destructive way. Like at the end of the day, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything else. I'm good. Whereas before, I think it was like, wake up too early, go to bed too late, and you're pushing hard every single hour. And I don't feel like I have to do that anymore, which is great. But then it's also not getting some things done that I want to get done. But the difference is I want to get them done, not that I have to get them done to survive. So that is nice too.
Yeah. And for me, it was obviously the physical limitations of only being able to do so much at a time. Somebody said a bigger place for our stuff. That's exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And we were also dreaming down the wrong road, I think there was a point where I wanted a bigger shop because we were going to step up the guitar building side.
Yep.
And I'm so glad we didn't do it. But at that time, that's what we thought we wanted. And so, I don't know. The whole simple thing, there's always been a thing for us. And I guess this is just us talking, sharing, more than it is a suggestion for anybody. But there's always been a thing for us where we are, I don't want to speak for you, but like I'm 100% the happiest when we have gotten in the car with maybe an overnight bag. Because we literally used to do this. We would get in the car with an overnight bag, and we would literally be at the stop sign at the highway and not know where we were going. Like, which way should I turn? Should I go left or should I go right? All I know is that we're in the car and we're traveling and we don't have a destination. We wouldn't even know where. We didn't know we were going to stay that night, where we didn't know what we were doing or what we were going to get ourselves into that day. Had no idea. Literally already left the house sitting at the stop sign. That's the way our brains worked, and that's when I'm the happiest. When we're cruising down the road and I don't even know where we're going, that to me is the happiest. And I know that's not everybody's thing, but when we started to realize that experiences outweighed having the stuff, then it was super easier. Well, not super easy, but it was way easier to say, okay, I can actually exchange having a brand new pickup truck for doing all these things and having all these memories and making all this video and then not knowing what to do with it. Like, I could...
We're figuring that out.
Yeah, I could exchange running my business a certain way that I thought I kind of wanted and then realized, no, if I do it this way, then we can have all these other experiences and we can focus on meeting people. We can focus on creating relationships and opportunities for the future instead of further tying ourselves down to a place and objects and things. And I think that was a big thing. And I know that, again, it's not for everybody, but I think if you're even, I don't know, I just want to put the possibility out there for people. Because the other thing is, when we first got married, we talked about, what are we going to do someday? This is what we're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had no idea that it was going to happen so soon. I think we thought it was going to happen probably 5 or 6 or 7 years down, maybe 5 years probably at least, further off in the future than it did.
From now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It happened way sooner because I don't think we even realized the possibilities
Well,
of what
I mean,
we
you
could
can't
do.
predict what
No.
life means. I mean, even this happened in the earliest time frame we could have imagined. Even this happened earlier.
Yep.
When you realize, you know, kids create their own life and they have their own life and they work and they go to school and they have created their own life, and then you reflect back. I remember being that age and having my own priorities and goals, and you raise, you want your kids to be independent, and then they are, and you're like, holy crap, all right, what now? So that happens, and I think that accelerated our plan too, because there was room to do that. And
Yeah.
I mean, the timing, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's terrible timing because of COVID, but I think it was good for us, and we've made it this far, and we'll make it through. And I mean, it made us go slower in the beginning, which we needed. It did present maybe some challenges we didn't foresee. He talked about how free we like to travel with no plans, which is great to do when you're just in a vehicle that can go anywhere. But when you're in a vehicle that doesn't fit everywhere, you have to plan a little bit better. So we had to learn how to plan. We had to learn how to map our routes. We had to learn how to plan our stays more so than we thought. We thought that was going to be a little freer and looser, but like this summer was strange because there were so many people out and RVing because that was a safe way to get out. So it was just a weird year to be introduced, but also taught us a lot because we had to be prepared for anything, which is nice because it's just like owning a home or anything else in life. Like, you have to be prepared for anything because anything can happen, and it's the same thing. Like, we have a video coming out, it's on Patreon now, but I titled the video when I put it on Patreon. It'll come out for you later this week, but you know, this thing doesn't come without maintenance. We laugh about not having the responsibility of a home, but this is just a different responsibility, and there's still maintenance that has to be done, which we've been touching on lately in these videos, is because people don't think about all of those things. Mm-mm. It's not just like a car. You can't just like sling it in Jiffy Lube in the gas station and be good to go. It's a little more to it than that.
Yeah. But I think it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I'm still having fun.
Yeah. And so the challenge will be, because here we are, and this is our mindset. And so let me just I touched on it earlier. The reason it was on my mind to talk about now is because it is a continual process. For instance, I'm going to call you out. He's been thinking about getting an amp. But what does that mean? Where is it going to live? What is its purpose? Like, from a business perspective, from a storage perspective, like, we really have to think about purchases before we make them. And then, I mean, we do it when we love shoes. We go and look at shoes, and then we're like, we don't really need these. Where would I put them? We just did a complete overhaul, like took everything out of the basement. Do you need some more?
No. When I got these new glasses, we had to take two glasses out where these two glasses went in.
We did.
You know, literally took
But we didn't need 6 crystal glasses.
No. So you take 2 out where 2 goes in. Mm-hmm. If there's shoes, the pair of shoes, do you really need the pair of shoes?
Yeah.
Is the pair of shoes that you're buying going to replace one pair, or is it going to serve the purpose of 2 or 3 pairs? Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Now I can get rid of 3 pairs of shoes. Because if I can get rid of 3 pairs of shoes, then I can put this other thing in that spot, and then I can take that other thing and put it in that spot, and then I can fit a guitar amp. Or whatever. But the whole thing is like life Tetris.
Yeah.
So.
And it's the same thing. I mentioned groceries earlier.
Yep.
We have specific places for groceries. I know what can fit where. And for instance, we do buy some things in bulk. We bought a big box of almond milk, for instance, today. And most people, it doesn't have to be refrigerated until you're ready to use it. But I don't have the storage for this box of milk. But I have the perfect place for all of the individual containers in the fridge. So they're in the fridge, and then we just pull one out and write the date on it.
Write the date on it with a Sharpie.
I'm a little anal about expiration dates. I will just say that.
Yeah.
For the one that you open and then it gets used. But it's little things like that that we've figured out along the way. And I mean, I do think about that when we shop. I mean, sometimes you want to grab something because you're there, and I'm like, we can wait until next week because you just don't have the place to put it.
What was the thing today? It was, it was frozen black bean burgers. They come in a box that's about like this big.
They're delicious.
They're wonderful. They come in a box about this big. And she said, "How many do you have?" And I was like, "I think I have 3 or 4 left." So don't buy a new thing to fill up the big box when you can go another week and a half on this much space.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a completely different weird conservation and planning kind of thing. Now there are some weeks, depending on where we're staying, where
we may have bought them. Yes,
we're 40 minutes away from, anything.
Or the next stop might not have
the stores that have.
Yeah, so we have stayed in places
Yeah.
that had not great quality grocery stores, which is hard for us because we eat a lot of natural products and produce. And if it's not a great grocery store, they don't have a selection of either of those items. So we do try to be prepared if
Yep.
we're staying in smaller places so that we get some of that shopping done if we need to. But
Northern California, of all places, had the worst produce.
yeah, we had a terrible time finding
Yeah.
produce.
Which is weird because that's where they grow it all.
Yeah.
It was weird, but
It was really weird.
yeah.
I feel like we just didn't go to the right place, but we shopped there 3 or 4 times and it was all the same story. So
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that we were missing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a total approach to everything. Like I've been doing the same thing outside, like the various where we're storing stuff and chemicals that we use for cleaning and for washing and waxing and all that kind of stuff. And so she alluded to it a minute ago. I was kind of laughing because I made a post today about how much time do you get to work on guitar stuff, and all these people are like, "My wife never lets me," and I'm like, so the reason I think that's funny is because she lets me do whatever I want. Basically, when I wanted a Kemper, it was her idea. Actually, when I bought a Kemper, it's like $1,700, and she's like, "I think you should have one of those." Why? Because it's 300 amps, and it's this big. That was even before we got a motorhome. I didn't need to have a whole room full of amps, right? And so now it has changed a little bit. It's not like you're not going to not let me get an amp or anything, but there are considerations. And the considerations for us are, is it good for the business? Is it like a money making? If it's not forward moving us, do we really need it? In a financial way, in a relationship way, in a whatever it is in life, if it's not moving you forward, do you really need to be carrying the thing around? Okay, number one. And number two, where are you going to put it? Mm-hmm. Is it going to fit? So if those 2 questions can be answered, then it's no big deal. But if you're kind of like, where am I going to put this thing, man? Like, I don't even know. But if it's really going to move you forward and it's going to be really profitable and really good for the business, then you have to go ahead and look at all your other priorities mm-hmm. and say, okay, all right, well, we need to move the almond milk over here so we can move these things to this cabinet, then we can move that to that cabinet, then we can move this to that cabinet and do this whole Tetris thing back around to mm-hmm. fit that thing in. But it's so much more of a commitment of energy and time to make sure that it's worth doing than just walking into the store and saying, "Oh, you know what? I think I need one of those." It's a completely different.
Somebody just mentioned it cuts down on the impulse buying, and it absolutely does. Yeah. One, we can't just walk around and shop anywhere, so that's a thing. But then you catch yourself I am a cart builder. Like I get online and I'm like in a website and I'm like building a cart, and then I'm like, eh, X. I don't need any of that. And I guess it like satisfies a need. Then they start messaging you, and that gets a little creepy. Because then I'm like, oh, maybe I do need this. But
in that
it
way,
is
COVID's
always
been good because
yeah.
we can't impulse shop.
It is always yeah, and especially because at times it was hard to get packages. So then you don't even online shop the same. Our online shopping dramatically decreased. I mean, shopping in general for us dramatically except for groceries, because we can't go out. We're cooking more, and we are buying more groceries.
The one thing I also will say, and we've not even talked about this at all, about the whole simplifying thing, and is we had 2 whole kitchens worth of stuff, and we ate out like so much that I could probably pay a motorhome payment with it. Like, I mean, we ate out so much. I did not realize how much we ate out. And since COVID started, it was exactly the same time that we got the motorhome. So this life change happened with moving into the motorhome, plus the COVID thing. And, I mean, there's been times, I mean, we'll run through a drive-thru and grab some French fries because you're having a craving for some French fries once in a while. But there has been times where I've been like, we've been in a perfectly easy situation where it was like, hey, let's pick up some food and go home and eat dinner. And I'm like, it's just a dumb thing to spend money on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a dumb thing. Like, I think you even said, we drove by a restaurant and she's like, if we're going to go in there and spend $50, I'd rather go to the grocery store and spend $50. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so it's just a weird thing where your brain changes about everything.
Yeah.
About everything. And I find myself fighting against buying stuff now that I don't need. It's almost okay, I'll give you an example. And we haven't talked about this, but I'll give you an example. Those LEDs that we bought to put underneath. So I bought LEDs to put underneath the underbody, like an underglow. Not like gangster underglow, but like so that it's on the campsite, so that when you're outside,
just when it's dark, so you don't break your neck.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So we bought 16 feet of LEDs, put them underneath, and it's got a little remote. You can turn it on, and so like your patio is all lit up. It's really nice, and I've been meaning to do it for a while. It was like $40. It was not expensive, but it was like one of those things where you see it. I've put it in my cart on Amazon 100 times.
Really? And
taken it back out because it's just like, it's not really a necessary thing. But so I find myself talking myself out of buying stuff because I'm just like, I don't really care about it enough.
Right.
To put more weight in the coach, to spend the money on it. My mind is totally shifted. And today you're like, no, let's get it. And I was like, no, I'm glad I have it. But that's so opposite from back in the days when you're just like walking around Costco like.
And that's a big difference too, is how often do you buy stuff and it's for like a future project. A lot of times, like now, we have something, we have a purpose in mind if we purchase it, and it goes into place immediately because I don't have time for stuff to sit around places. Nope. And it needs to have a place. So I don't know. It is a total. This is probably one of those subjects that will continually come up because it is the number one thing people ask about the most, because it is so far-fetched for people. And it's one of those things, we could take for granted. So I think it's a good conversation to keep having because you don't want to get so far-fetched from where we were and where most people are that we can't have these conversations. I'll equate it to like working from home. A lot of people have been like thrown into working from home, and they always used to say like, because I've been working from home full time for a company. What is it? It's over 7 years now. Over 7 years, and I remember people used to be like, "Oh, that must be nice." Like you can get all your laundry and housework done. Like, well, I'm working. I'm not like just doing whatever. And I think people understand that now, but you don't want to forget, you just can't forget where people come from. And I don't want to do that or lose sight of that or ever make it seem like this is something we just jumped into, because it was far from that. It was, my computer died. A lot of conversations, a lot of preparation, a lot of talking ourselves out of it.
And another point that I always want to make to people is this is not some kind of crazy sacrifice of everything that's important to us either. And I think people, when they think of get rid of all your stuff and live in a motorhome, they're like, oh my God, I could never do that. Well,
And maybe
you say
can.
that as a blanket statement, but realistically, break it down to what's really important to you, and don't compromise on that stuff. And then build your life around that. I mean, I still have a bunch of cameras and a drone and guitar stuff, like I've always had, because it's my favorite stuff.
It is also how we make money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't compromise on that. I have 2 RC cars. I have all the things that I love.
Right.
Like, I still have those things. I did not get rid of stuff just to get rid of stuff to say that I could fit in a, you know what I mean? Like, you still have to set your priorities in your life of what are the things that are important to you, and have those things. Otherwise, you know, you don't.
Yeah, and we touched on it before, and
I'm not Cat Stevens.
Mention it again. We do have a storage unit. There were some things that automatically went away because they were part of having a house. Like, we automatically didn't need furniture, and we didn't need lawn care things, and we knew we didn't, that some of the kitchen stuff was changing. Like, you know, like, stuff doesn't fit in an oven here that fit in my oven at home. Like, you get rid of all these things. We knew that. So that's easy. That all went away. And then you have stuff that was just trash. It's amazing how much trash it's like not worth selling and not worth doing anything with. Like, why do I have this? And then there's the things, and we just did it because, you know, if you're closer to, like, I don't know, if you're older and you're like over it, that's one thing. But I feel like we're still young enough, and we didn't know. So anything that we paused on and we were like, I don't know if I want to get rid of this. Anything sentimental, anything artwork that you really can't replace. You can't replace artwork, like unique artwork. We didn't get rid of those things. We put them in storage because we weren't ready to get rid of them, ready to make those decisions. Now, I mean, if we're on the road for 5 years and then we go back to storage and we're like, why did we keep all this stuff? We may be in a different place then, but we weren't at the time. And I don't think we've gotten rid of anything that we kept. There were some things that were worth a bit of money that we would probably still like to sell, but they're in storage because it doesn't make sense to have them with us, but they're worth too much to just give away. So then you just keep them because, I mean, who knows? We're open. We may have a house again one day. Like, who knows? I don't know what that means, but anyway, it is not, I don't take it lightly. I would never probably recommend it to anybody because I can't make that decision for you. Like, I can tell you our experience, and that's all I can do. But I want to be honest about that experience, and I don't want, you know, people to just think, oh my gosh, they just did this thing. No, we did a lot of talking about this thing, and we were really honest with each other because we both had some, you know, you come with your own personal assumptions of what something's going to be, worries about what something's going to be, and we were really honest with each other about it. And we would either tell the other one, like, okay, that's valid, this is probably what it's going to be, or here's what we can do to get over that, or we'd tell the other one, that's kind of crazy and irrational. Like, that's not going to be a thing. Like, you just have to have the conversations. And another thing we really talked about, and people point out all the time, yes, before, when we lived in a house, though, we both worked at home. You're together 24/7? Yes, we're together 24/7. Now we're together 24/7 in this small space. I'm very much an introvert, and I need time to myself. Headphones are great. Like, we can both sit on this couch and be in our own worlds when we need to be, but we enjoy each other's company, and we respect each other's company and space when needed. I mean, if he's on a phone call, if he's working, I'm not bugging him. Same when I'm working. Like, I'm kind of like off limits when I'm working, actually. I'm probably kind of rude, but that's just how it is, and you have to get things done. And if you don't exist well in a house with your partner, I would never recommend moving into a smaller space, because you think also that, yeah, you have smaller space, but you have all of the outside, which is great if you're not working. But the reality is, if you're trying to work, you're going to be in the same space, and you're going to be close to each other, and you're going to overlap on some days. And I actually still get kind of frustrated by that sometimes, because we have different levels of loudness. But we know that, and it's usually temporary, so it's cool. But sometimes if it's extended, I'm like, I really have to get this done. And he's like, cool, I can do this later. And it's no big deal. You just have to communicate.
Yeah.
But if you can't communicate, or you don't like each other, don't live in a small space.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's some days where, like the other day, where I knew you had a really important meeting that was going to be a couple hours long, and I'm like, okay, well then that's when I'm just going to go run my errands.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. So, anyway, well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. This one kind of went long.
I died. Did we get any more comments or questions we need to talk about? Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Laughing because my tequila's talking?
Yep, pretty much.
I'm going to shut up.
No, this is awesome. And I hope everybody, on one hand, you don't want to, like, you should go do this. But on the other hand, I also do kind of hope that it inspires people to, like, I don't know, man. There's something really liberating about, I don't know, going into one room and, like, throwing away a bunch of stuff and being like, oh, that feels really good. Like, or whatever it is, Like, the whole thing started because of Marie Kondo.
Yeah, and just...
Not really.
I mean, realizing how much you don't need. Like, I don't know. And that's why it's a constant process, because even while we were gone for a few months, there were things we didn't touch. And so when we came back, we were like, let's regroup. Let's go through clothes again. I mean, we literally cleaned out the entire closet.
I have a third of the clothes that I had even in here.
Well, that's the thing. I have way less clothes, and I still feel like I wear the same. You have your favorites, and you have what's easy. We're not going anywhere fancy, so
I have too many socks right now. It's the weirdest thing. Like, there's just weird things.
Can't have too many socks.
I have too many socks. They don't even fit in the drawer.
You don't wear socks enough then. You used to wear them out.
I don't, and it's pretty awesome.
Anyway, it is really cool, and I don't know. I want people to know that it's real, though, but it was a big decision, and it is a constant mindset. Yep. Really, you have to stay on it. I mean, or you just accumulate stuff. I mean, we see people travel, like we see other videos, and we see people travel, and they have literally piles of stuff, like when they pull the slides in, because they don't have places for stuff to go, and I don't want that to happen.
We have this so well organized that when we pack it up and then we get to our next destination, there's nothing anywhere.
Yeah.
You pull out the slides. The only thing that is anywhere is this driver's seat is where my camera bag and our microphones and stuff live for shooting video. Other than that, there is nothing anywhere. We don't have any clutter. There's nothing anywhere. It's all completely put up. Everything, I cannot stand that. Like, even when we stay too long in a place, it drives me insane to get cluttery, and I almost have to like put it all away just to get reset once in a while. So we really do focus on that. No, it's pretty cool. We went pretty long. No, we
Hour.
didn't. No, we didn't. It's 10:33.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. Thanks for
Anyway,
hanging out, y'all.
I
This
hope
has been
that
super
helped.
fun.
Ask any specific questions that you have. Feel free if you watched this long and all of our rambling.
I think most people did.
I mean, people that might watch it after it's not live.
That's true.
It's a good topic.